stocks selling off today. All three major indices closing deep in the red. The beloved tech sector leading the charge lower today. Check out what happened to the high-flying MAGA stocks. That would be, of course, Microsoft, Apple, Google, and Amazon, all falling hard in today's session. So, Dan, I know that you watch MAGA very closely. It's a key indicator. It's on your screen, lighting up every day. So what'd you make of this meltdown?
Well, listen, they obviously became a safety trade, and they definitely led to the upside in the last few weeks as the market made that bottom in March and rallied 30% off the lows. That's the S&P 500. The Nasdaq's outperformance has been astounding, but it can all be attributed to these four stocks. When you think about Amazon is up 25% of the year, Microsoft is up high single digits, Apple and Google are only down less than 10%. So you say to yourself, this is where people have been hiding out. They've been hiding out in monopolies. They've been hiding out with great balance sheets. They've been hiding out just with these massive moats that these companies have. And that's fine. I get it. These are companies that are going to do far better in a sustained recession or a deeper recession than most of the other names in the S&P 500. But at some point, something's got to give. And I suspect a day like today, if it were to start to snowball, that would be the thing where the consensus went from, oh, the bottom's in to, oh, maybe we're going to retest, especially when you see the devastation in so many other sectors in the S&P 500 aside of MAGA.
Tim, you're nodding your head. You agree with Dan?
I always agree with Dan. Not really, but sometimes. I agree with him today. I think you have a case where, look at the underperformance of the triple Qs or the NASDAQ 100 relative to the S&P. All we talked about was an outperformance by almost 1,300 basis points year to date. And you have a case where actually over the last 4 sessions, roughly, NASDAQ's underperformed by 2.5%. Look at the small caps. Look at the semiconductors. Look at the SMH, which is the ETF that tracks the semis. Today, you broke through the 200 and the 50. You have a bear cross for those people that care about that. So I do think you have a case here where the market certainly priced a lot of these stocks up to key levels. You almost crescendoed this with everybody and their brother and sister upgrading Amazon, and I think you have to be a bit cautious. I remain largely constructive on markets, but I don't think these stocks get away to the upside on you, and I don't think you have to jump in tomorrow.
Seems like a potentially dangerous setup going into earnings season, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, well, I find myself in the uncomfortable position of agreeing with everything that Dan said, but I do think if you look, Alphabet right now is up 2% after hours on the heels of Snap. I think that the market knows that advertising will be down, right? It's a question of how much, and then I don't know what kind of guidance we'll get. They're not super cheap here, Facebook and Google, but I don't think they're crazy expensive either. So I'm a little concerned about earnings, but I'm not selling going into earnings. And I think we'll hear from both of them, Facebook and Alphabet, next week.
So I know a lot has changed since I was here before, but everybody agreeing with Dan? I mean, come on. I mean, that never happened, Guy.
Come on, Guy.
The world's gone nuts.
So I love Dan, and I love when everybody gets along. And by the way, it was Helen Hunt, not Diane Keaton, and I apologize to everybody. My view on Amazon was it was going to continue to rally into earnings on April 30th, and at that point, you pull the ripcord ahead. I think it's going to wind up retesting the 2170 level, which was the prior high. That makes a lot of sense. So I think you stick with it into earnings, pull the ripcord ahead on the 30th, and look for a pullback to 2170, Melms. So I don't know if I'm agreeing with Dan or not. And since I can't see him making the face at me, I'll just assume that he's in accord.
He's smiling. There he is.